Good morning. It's me again, Kelvin Simmons. And in this video that's titled Dangerous Event for Law Enforcement dash Domestic Violence. Extremely serious topic for law enforcement and the criminal justice employees. So, going to start off with a definition. Domestic violence. I'm going to give you the narrow definition first. Violent or aggressive behavior within the home. Violent abuse of a spouse or a partner. That's the narrow definition. Now I'm going to give you the wide definition of domestic violence. Abusive behavior in any relationship to gain or maintain control over another person. Those are the two definitions. How does this affect law enforcement? I've learned that it's about the most dangerous call that the patrol officer can receive. Because when he or she arrive at the scene, there's an extremely angry person there. And that person is not like a bank robber who is trying to get away. That person don't want to go. That person refuses to go. That person feels that he is in control and that it's his house, it's his situation, it's his woman. He can do as he please. Now, they may sound mean, but that's the reality when you get right down to the street type of definition for domestic violence. That person intends to control that other individual by any means that he can use, that's at his disposal, whether it be force or smoozing her. Yeah, smoozing, however you spell that word, just mean you just giving her all these little nice things, but your ulterior motive is to control that individual, not to have that person make a free choice as to whether or not they want to continue in a relationship with you. You like it when that person loses their job because now that person is more dependent on you. So you feel more in control. You have more power over that individual. But back to law enforcement. Officers show up at these or those type of calls and their lives are in immediate danger because that individual, the way their mind is operating is that you are interfering. And since you are interfering, they want you out of the way. So they have no problem with harming you. They're not considering that they're going to end up going to jail. It doesn't mean anything to them right then. Their whole world is about this far away. As far as they can see their hand, that's their world. And you, the law enforcement officer, the police officer, you're interfering with them. And they're going to be extremely dangerous and angry. So that's just a note that law enforcement officers who have been around on the job for a while, they already know that. They understand that. I have, please like and subscribe. Note here, street supervision does not stop or end domestic violence. In other words, the police officers are successful in arresting that individual who perpetrates the domestic violence to the point where they are on the scene. That person ends up in front of the judge. The judge places that person on probation supervision. Now you as the probation officer are in a situation to deal with this domestic violence type person. This person is more than likely going to be one of those aggressive domestic violence individual who has had in the past no problem laying hands on that particular person who he is in a relationship with. So now the probation officer is in the position where he or she can also be a victim of that individual, especially if that probation officer doesn't have the experience and time on the job to understand how to control an individual who has aggressive natures, anger management control type situation or type behavior. So here we are. Domestic violence and control, emotional the perpetrator may use emotions. They're out to control your emotions. They may try to control you by using sex, or they just go right down to the end and get physical with you. Domestic violence and the police. I have a note here. Most dangerous situation. Then I have here, and I think I've mentioned that, domestic violence and the probation officer. I have a note here. It causes supervision difficulty. Why, sure, because that person has not gotten over the fact that they went to jail and that they're on supervision because of that person who they were controlling or that person who they were battering. I have a note here. See my book, page 23, and it has a story about domestic violence. And the persons, I made up the names, not using their true names, William and Mary, and the shotgun. And it's in this book. I'm probably going to have to put it in front of me. Freedom or Jail, Experiences of a Career Probation and Parole Officer. That's page 23. I'm not going to tell you the story. If you're interested, you can read it. And it has to do with domestic violence and how I spent about a year dealing with both of them. It's like both of them were on my caseload. I'm not going to tell you the end of it either. No, neither one of them died. No, I'll go ahead and tell you that. And then you can look in my book, the same book, page 74, paragraph number 2. And I'll give you some a storyline on that, because it's interesting how people they continue their behavior even after the judge places them on supervision, which puts the probation officer in a dangerous situation. Now I used to, at least if they stayed around for a few months, I would establish a working relationship with them where they understood that it wasn't my intent to just put them in jail. I wanted them to behave, meaning do what they're supposed to do, stay away from that victim. Because if they go near that victim, when they have a special condition that tells them no contact with the victim, then I'm going to arrest them. Yeah, I know from previous videos of mine, it sounds like I'm just a good guy. Yeah, but in certain circumstances, certain offenses, you violate that certain condition, you're going to jail. So with this particular person, I visited the residence within the same day that he was placed on. He was actually on community control, house arrest. So I visited his residence, and a female answered the door. I told her who I was and why I was there. She called out to him. He came to the front door where I was waiting. So I verified his address. I was through with that for the day. Well, the next day when I'm at work, I get this call from this female, the same person. And she told me that, she said, Mr. Simmons, I'm the victim. How about that? She was the victim who he had a special condition, no contact with. And there he was in her house using it as his residence for his supervision. So I contacted my liaison with the Tampa Police Department. When I say liaison, we knew each other. And he was always available, at least if he was working, to make the arrest. So he met me at in the area that evening. We had an additional officer to be at the back door because I didn't want him to get out the back door and get away. So we came to the front door, me and my liaison, Tampa police officer, and he was arrested. So I arrested him that day, and he went to jail, and he went to prison. In other words, my tolerance for domestic violence was not that great, even though I may have made it sound like I was such a good PO. Well, I still considered myself the good probation officer, but I had to protect the public. And if she was the victim, he had no business there. And I'll point this to you. My first book, they're both available on Amazon. My first book details a story of more intense interaction with the person who was on supervision for domestic violence. But no, I'm not going to tell you that story because it'll take 10 minutes or more. So, moving right along with domestic violence. Probation for persons placed on supervision with domestic violence is generally going to have so many special conditions, and one of them is going to be no contact with the victim. Absolutely none. She gets on the bus, you get your BUTT off the bus. Oh yes, I had that situation before. The person told me, well, Mr. Simmons, she got on the bus. I say, well, you know what you had to do, right? Get off the bus. Oh yeah. Counseling. Generally domestic violence type counseling, and that involves anger management, because many times that individual has what you call an anger management problem. And I'm at 10 minutes 43 seconds. I didn't want this video to be that long, but some simple solutions. If a person is bringing you flowers and always sending you flowers when they're initially romancing you, stay away from them, because they're seeking to control you. They're working on your mind. They're going to reel you in. And the next thing you know, you're going to be in the frying pan, or the, what they call that thing? The fryer, the air fryer. Leave the residence. Now, what I used to tell where that person lived, just don't live with them. What I used to tell cases, people on my supervision, guys that is, the men, if she starts arguing with you or at you, leave. I don't care if you're on house arrest. Get out of there and call my office. Leave a message with what happened. Hang up, dial, call again. Just call me again. Leave the same message. If I'm working on the weekend, I'm probably going to stop by your house anyway if you're on house arrest. But don't get in your car. Please don't get in your car because she's going to bust that window. That story is in my book also. The one guy, he got in the car. She threw a brick through the windshield. He got out and grabbed her. When I went to see him at the jail, he apologized to me. He said, Mr. Simmons, I know you told me to run. Don't get in the car. I got in the car because I wanted to drive away. I didn't want to leave my car. Well, doing that, he went to prison. There's nothing I could do for the guy on domestic violence. I mean, he got out the car and grabbed her. So he had to go to prison. But at least he apologized to me. So one last little comment. I got a relative. He's actually sitting in jail right now. He's been living in I'm going to call it a domestic violence situation all of this year, 2025. And the interesting thing is, and I'm not taking up for him because he's my brother, yeah, but his partner is the aggressor. Isn't that something? Women, domestic violence people, women who jump on men, that's another whole video. But anyway, the police apparently got tired of coming to the house. And I understand. You got to take somebody to jail. So they took him to jail. And my attitude on that, he probably don't realize it, but he getting a break. Maybe when he get out of jail, he'll put her out or move away, won't stay with her anymore. So my final comment on domestic violence, if you find yourself in a situation of domestic violence and that person is controlling you, you feel like you don't have any place to go. Well, I'm going to mention a place. There are places where you can go. One would be Metropolitan Ministries if you're in the Hillsborough County area. They'll help you get out of that situation. They'll help you get into a place for you and your kids on a temporary basis. And I'll say this, there are many other agencies within Hillsborough County because I used to use them. Yeah, you might say, well, why am I using them? Because I've had women on supervision and they were still being abused or stalked by that particular abuser. So I would help them get away from that person. But anyway, please subscribe. And I'm going to do a commercial right here. And I got this turned sideways because you probably can read it better. You can see the wording. Then I'm going to turn it the regular way. And I'll tell you what this is my Middleton High School Alumni Association. It's our annual golf tournament. And I hope you can stop the frame on this video and read it all. It's January 31st next year, 2026, and the information of how you can register, it's limited. I think we only have room for like 100 players, and you can find, if you can't get to it through here, which you should be able to, to be able to register. It's the Middleton Alumni Association. It's our website, and you'll know it's our website because you'll see an advertisement about our golf tournament. But anyway, thank you for watching the video. Until the next time, bye.